We were just working with the stretch stitch number 3 that looks like a lightning bolt, but let's switch over to what an overcast stitch would look like. So in our utility stitch menu, there are 4 pages. On the first one, the essential stitches. Number 2, the overcast stitches. So you're looking for stitches that are going to jump over the edge of the fabric and eliminate the edge from unraveling or fraying out. So you have to start washing it. So you're looking for stitches often that will jump over the edge. For starters, let's use stitch number 6 and let's talk about the foot number 3 it recommends. Now all of these are different varieties of stitches that can easily go off the edge and create a seam, which I am going to show you 2 different ways this one stitch will work. Remember, you do have that question mark and touch the stitch that you're wondering what in the world that is, and for sewing seams and overcasting stretch fabrics all in one step. So each one of these has a look, and don't forget, you can always use them as a decorative stitch with variegated thread and also my favorite, twin needles. Look fantastic with the overlock stitches. So the overlock foot is foot number 3. Now when you get it, you will find that you need to adjust this little red marker by turning this little screw. Now the red marker is and will be lined up for this technique with the pin that's on the inside. We also use this foot as a blind hem foot, so you'll see me using and moving this marker differently when we're doing a blind hem, and it's actually great for top stitching or edge stitching if you need to move the needle position over and need a guide in the middle. So there's lots of ways to use it. But for right now, I'm going to just turn this screw so the red marker lines up in front of that pin. Have you ever sewed like a zigzag stitch on your old machine, and when you did, it just kind of curled this edge under? There was nothing supporting it because it was just a single layer of fabric. Now when we place this raw edge, even with the little red marker, the stitch is going to jump over that little pin in the sewing area, and the pin will support the stitch so it doesn't roll the fabric, giving you a nice flat finish when you're done. So again, now that the foot is set up, and it is a foot with the IDT opening in the back, so make sure that you pull and engage that unit to fill in this area and help pull the fabric through nicely. We're ready to start stitching. Now I'm also going to stitch this white ribbing onto a neckline to give you an example that this same stitch in the exact same settings will work with a seam on a curve. But first off, let's just talk about this little edge. As you start off, just place the edge of the fabric right next to the little marker. And this is where you're going to barely see that little pin that the stitch is being formed over. But you'll see how flat everything comes out on the underneath side. So you're just going to guide the fabric right along the edge. Now, if you're doing a lot of this, you're noticing this isn't a fast stitch. I mean, I can sew fast, but the stitch does take a little time to actually be created. A serger or an overlock would do this 10 times faster and with a little bit more professional edge. But sometimes my serger doesn't have the right color on, and I only need to go a short distance, so it's okay. Now, the reason I pause is because even though I use the thread cutter, my last stitch is still on that pin. So if you need to, push your fabric out the back off that little pin, and then you'll see what we're looking at. But see how flat that is as it lays right along the edge, and you didn't have to guess where to guide it. That's what the foot was all about. Next, let's use this same exact stitch, but this time this straight part is going to become a seam as we take our ribbing fabric, fold it in half, putting both the raw edges of the ribbing next to my cut edge. This could be, say, a t-shirt edge. And again, just go ahead and follow along with the edges, even with the foot. And ribbing is often gently pulled and stretched because it's usually smaller than the opening that you are working on. And really, you're just up here guiding the fabric, even with that foot edge once again, and taking your time going around the curve. As we tell our students, because this is sometimes the first time they've ever done something with multiple layers and a stretch and a curve, I say I never grade on the curve. But look how beautiful that turns out. So it's nice and professional. It has the stretch and give you'd be looking for, plus On the back side, everything is neat and tidy. So if that's a look that you're after, remember you've actually got lots of stitches in that Overcast Stitches menu to choose from. Pick out the right one and use the foot that that particular stitch recommends.